I've been covering the Trump story for over a year now, and I'm sick and tired of stacking up the details of his treachery day after day, week after week. What more do you need to know? He's a lying, thieving, incompetent, ignorant traitor who conspired with the Russian government to steal the election of 2016 and illegally defeat a candidate who won the popular vote by nearly 3 million ballots. His presidency is illegitimate, and his occupation of the White House is a stain on our nation's honor and a threat to our democracy. History will cast him into the same sewer in which float the putrid remains of Benedict Arnold, Jefferson Davis and Richard Nixon. Impeachment would be too kind an end for him. He belongs behind bars, broken, bankrupt and disgraced. Every day the front pages of the newspapers and the headlines of the cable news shows are filled with evidence of Trump's lies and thievery. Look at what happened this week alone. This article first appeared in Salon. Trump started out denying that he even knew Stormy Daniels, then he denied having a sexual relationship with her, then he said he didn't know about any payoffs to her. Monday, he filed his required federal financial disclosure form in which he effectively admitted making the $130,000 payment to shut her up just before the election in 2016. He did an about-face on trade restrictions on China, announcing that he would seek to help the Chinese communications giant ZTE, which paid a $1.2 billion fine last year for violating sanctions against trade with North Korea and Iran. 3 days previously, China had issued a $500 million loan to a development project in Singapore that includes Trump-branded hotels, golf courses and condos. He opened the American embassy in Jerusalem, a move he had been warned would result in fighting and deaths in the Middle East, and sure enough, dozens of Palestinians were killed on the day the embassy opened during demonstrations in the Gaza Strip. The Trump White House refused to apologize for a sick joke made about John McCain by one of his aides. Trump's former Secretary of State gave a commencement speech at VMI in which he made repeated veiled criticisms of Trump's lying and warned gravely, if our leaders seek to conceal the truth, or we as people become accepting of alternative realities that are no longer grounded in facts, then we as American citizens are on a pathway to relinquishing our freedom. Special Counsel Robert Mueller issued a subpoena to a former aide of Trump's longtime consultant, Roger Stoney, who has admitted being in touch during the campaign of 2016 with a Russian intelligence agent involved in the hacking of the Democratic Party emails. A major story in BuzzFeed on Thursday detailed work by Trump's personal lawyer Michael Cohen on a 100-story Trump skyscraper in Moscow during 2015 right through the Republican National Convention in 2016. It was revealed that Trump signed letter of intent on the Moscow project on the day of the third Republican primary debate on October 28, 2015, in Boulder, Colorado. ABC News reported last week that Trump has denied having deals in Russia hundreds of times in the past 18 months. Just before the inauguration in 2017, for example, Trump tweeted, "Russia has never tried to use leverage over me. I have nothing to do with Russia, no deals, no loans, no nothing." Donald J. Trump, at Real Donald Trump, January 11, 2017. A Qatar deal was announced. The revelation follows a report that during the transition in 2016, a Qatari diplomat was asked by Trump lawyer Michael Cohen for a $1 million fee in return for arranging connections to the Trump family. The government of Qatar bought a $6.5 million apartment in Trump World Tower on the east side of Manhattan recently. The news of last week was a perfect mix of lies, thievery, buffoonery and malice that have characterized the entirety of Trump's presidency. He promised to get rid of Obamacare on day one. He failed. Obamacare is alive and well and enjoyed record registrations last year. His executive orders on everything from immigration to environmental regulations have ignored requirements for public comments and simple federal paperwork and face lawsuits from one end of the country to the other. He claimed that, "Nobody has been tougher on Russia than I have." He has refused to enact most of the sanctions on Russia passed by Congress. He appointed a hatchet man who had sued the EPA over a dozen times to head up the agency, and that man, Scott Pruitt, currently faces no less than 14 investigations of his tenure there, including allegations that he broke federal laws on office renovations and accepting gifts from lobbyists when he rented a room at below market rates from a lobbyist with business before his agency. Last week he claimed he raised military pay for the first time in 10 years. President Obama raised military pay in every year of his presidency. Trump has claimed repeatedly that his White House is running like a fine-tuned machine. He filled it with wife-beaters, worn-out Wall Street buck-chop shysters, and half-baked neo-Nazi flacks. At this point, more than 40 top White House officials and aides have either resigned or been fired over the last 18 months. The place leaks like a shredded fishnet. The Washington Post recently reported that the lies he has told in office now number more than 3,000. But it's his lies about Russia that really ring a bell. Trump and his White House surrogates began by claiming that the Trump campaign never met with any Russians and had nothing to do with Russia. Revelation after revelation about contacts between Trump people and Russians followed. Then they claimed they had met with only a few Russians. More revelations about more Russians. Then they claimed they had not met with any Russians about the campaign. The Trump Tower meeting was revealed. Meets between George Papadopoulos and Russians in London came to light. Trump suddenly started claiming that there was no collusion. Evidence of collusion emerged. Then Trump began claiming that even if there was collusion, it was not illegal. Indictments came down. Now Rudy Giuliani is out there telling the world that even if Trump did something wrong, he can't be indicted as a sitting president. Wow. Watching Trump revisions on the Russia story is like watching a slinky descend a staircase, flipping over and over and over and over. But every set of stairs has a bottom, and in Trump's case, it's the law. His lies and dissembling about Stormy Daniels came up against the law this week when he had to file his financial disclosure form. Lying or omitting information on a federal form is a felony, which is why Trump was forced to include the repayment of his debt to Michael Cohen, which covered the $130,000 that had been paid out to silence Stormy Daniels in October of 2016. He lied about her, and he lied about that payment until he came up against the law, and then he was forced to tell the truth. He has reached the ground floor with Russia and everything else. You can lie at rallies, you can lie to the media, you can lie to voters, but lies don't work when they come up against laws. That's where Trump finds himself today. He's a lying, thieving traitor who conspired with a hostile nation to steal the presidential election of 2016, and he got caught. Not even his bone spurs will get him a deferment this time. He's going to be drafted for the farm team at Leavenworth. He's going down.